Hey everybody, it's Eddie J on Crypto. Hope you're having a great day. So, took some time today to review some notes, see what's going on. And if you look at today's earlier video and you look at this one now, you'll be able to see the difference between what I find in my research and my findings in the morning versus what makes it into the final video. Something else. Caught somebody trying to shill a coin in my comment section. I don't shill coins. So if you see something like that, let me know, and I'll remove it as I did with this one, and I will also make sure that I will not be shilling coins like ever. I might tell you what my favorite coins are to purchase, to use, whether I'm hodling or if I'm adopting, meaning I'm going to a store, I'm going to use those coins to buy something, those digital assets, but I will not be shilling any coins. That's not how I roll. I'm here to, provide information and share the research that I have and my kids have done, and how it all works out. Anyway, let's get into it. So Core Scientific is facing its own money woes, and they just got a big major win. They were allowed by the courts to actually shut down the 37,000 crypto mining rigs owned by Celsius. Bad deal for Celsius, good deal for them, because Core Scientific loses $2.8 million a month, or I'm sorry, $2 million a month, give or take, running those rigs, and they get nothing from it because Celsius hasn't been paying them rent. So by getting rid of at least shutting down the rigs, they're spending less money. But then within 75 days of the shutdown of the rigs, Celsius has got to get those things the hell up out of there. The other thing that's actually a very big deal is the fact that then they actually get to use the vacated space. So imagine, a company like Galaxy Digital could move in there with some rigs and, start doing stuff, because I told you about that deal last week. Anyway, you can always go look at that video. Wanted to touch on something that's a little bit larger, which kind of gives you a little bit of insight on a global scale. So Hong Kong has changed their crypto regulations, and financial services firms are scrambling to get licensed. Why? Because there is huge interest in digital assets. They want to be able to do them in exchanges and provide other services in that space, and you have to be licensed in order to do that. And everybody's rushing like little kids in a freaking candy store to get those licenses. While that's going on in Hong Kong, India is just killing crypto in their country. I've told you guys previously that India is, has got some serious laws and serious taxes against crypto that's caused them to have bright flight out of the country. They've also seen a huge outflow of crypto from exchanges within the company to exchanges outside of the company, as well as non-custodial wallets, meaning cold storage wallets. The reason for this is they just don't like crypto. I believe India is the president of the G20 right now, and they could be looking to expand that. So I don't know how far it's going to get, but India does not like crypto. Stupid pet trick. I think that if they don't embrace crypto, I think that they're going to wind up setting themselves up for a huge negative impact in the future toward their economy. I think that is a very big deal, and they should be thinking about it. Ethereum Name Service. Now, this is where I actually have big interest. Ethereum Name Service has seen an influx, not an influx, but I guess 2.8 million domain registrations over the course of 2022, which is huge. They're not that old. I'm expecting more to come this year. Okay, not necessarily that they'll have the same 2.8 million, but I think more companies are going to wake up to the idea of, number one, we had better protect our brand. Two, we had better start getting into the Web3 space. My company actually does Web3 work where we can actually help you acquire those domains, that kind of thing. So that's big news for us to actually see companies, expanding their interest in that space. We also do, e-commerce websites where you can accept credit cards, PayPal, and crypto. So that's a big deal. looking at that, we also look at unstoppable domains, also seeing a huge number of domains being registered there. So these are very big deals to be going on in a Web3 space. Now, this last bit of news is not the best of news, but could have ripple effects. Okay, Wyre, which is basically a blockchain payments transfer company. So think of it as, I guess the best example would be Western Union for blockchain. Okay, they've been around for about 10 years, almost 10 years. It would have been 10 years this year, and unfortunately, it looks like they're going to be shutting down. There's an anonymous insider that has let the public know, hey, look, listen, yeah, employees are getting, being released without severance. They've been struggling for about a year. And I think what's really happening is I think they probably tried to keep the doors open and it just didn't work out. And unfortunately, they've got to let people go. And it sounds like they're going to be shuttering operations within the first quarter of this year. That was reported by Axios. I get my kids get their news from like all over the place, and we look for corroborating stories, that kind of thing. We pay attention to when one publication or one source gets their story out versus other stories. Why? Because that was probably the reference. So we try to go all the way back to the root reference of a given story. But Axios to me is actually pretty trustworthy. So when I saw that news, I was kind of upset. But if you look at everything else that's going on, you kind of say, well, it kind of makes sense as more and more people become more and more savvy, and you start to realize that I don't really need a middle person, a middle, company to handle a crypto transaction. One entity to another entity, boop, direct. So I don't really need that middleman to do anything unless I'm going from, to crypto to fiat or something else. And that's when you start to figure out, like, what are you really doing? So there'll be more about that as I move forward. I told you I'll have news in February in that case. But there are a lot of positive things going on, but you start to see a kind of weaning, or not a weaning, but a culling of companies that are out there. You see Fred Wilson, is his name Fred Wilson? I think it's Fred Wilson. He was the co-founder of Union Square Ventures, and he said, listen, we're going to see a lot of Web3 companies go bye-bye in 2023. And it's just because, crypto winter finally catches up. Their idea never took off or whatever it is, but it's basically the same model as anything else. Sometimes you have a great environment to start a venture and it just doesn't pan out. It happens. It really does happen, as with any other business. So it's something to pay attention to. Caught a little bit of news about the IRS and how they want to work with crypto companies to kind of, thwart financial crimes and things like that. That's going to be interesting to see how that actually all pans out and how they actually work that out. So for today, that's the news that I've grabbed so far. Again, do your own research, pay attention to where you're getting your sources, and try to make as smart moves as you possibly can. And remember, investing is one thing, adoption is another, and they're both very important to the crypto space. Anyway, what we should do is actually start getting into the numbers, because there's actually a lot that's going on at the moment. So let me share my screen with you. Boop. There's that one, and then that. There you go. So let me just refresh this, because I haven't refreshed it since I started the video. You can see the big movers. There's this new crypto, basically new, called Bonk. Right here, up 166%. Trust me, I am not touching that. It's actually called Bonk Inu. Like, are you serious? Like, I'm not touching that, like, at all. Just not. Maybe they've got a great project. That's fine. I would have to do some research on it. Somebody asked me, Nebuchadnezzar on TikTok asked me, about another coin. I think it was Chromium, not Chromium, Corium. And I said, yeah, looking at it, it's ranked like 328th on Coin Market Cap. It actually does not have a big following, doesn't have a lot of projects on it right now. They're claiming that they're the next stage of blockchain. They are layer one. I'm still not touching it. right? I need more. I need to know. I need to take a seriously deep dive for me to even think about investing in something like that. And then the reason why is because I need to know who are the developers. I need to know what was the coin's inception. Was it an ICO or something like that? Most importantly, I need to know what the project is all about, meaning what's its use case? What is that project doing that other projects aren't doing? Or why is that project the best for whatever reason? Right? I saw something on the website that's talked about ISO 222. That's not a crypto thing. That's a banking thing. So for cryptos that are going to be working directly with banks, which is obviously not decentralized, that's a centralized service. There's a different reason to be looking at that. I don't think they're on that list of ISO 222 companies or projects that are out there. So I would take a deeper dive into that as well. They're saying they're the best. Anytime I look at a website for a project and it says they're the best, they're the fastest, they're the this, they're that, and they're not established, yeah, I'm not going to really believe that. I'm not going to believe that until they can show me some toe-to-toe figures corroborated by another independent company that can show me, okay, they actually are faster. But just because you're faster doesn't mean you're more secure. Like they just don't have enough of a track record for me to say, okay, let's go for it. I mean, you hear me talking about Solana all the time, which is up today, but I'm not goofing around with Solana either because they just don't have a dependable network right now. Can they rebuild? Not rebuild, but can they shore it up and make it? Yeah, sure, they can. But right now, they're just not on my list. I am noticing that Cardano is up 6%. I do have a rule. I do not pay attention to anything that's moved, like 5%, right? If you're only moved 5%, I look at 5% consecutively, but 5% means that there's too much of a sway, right? I can drop 5% just like that. But if you're up 5% today, up a few more percent tomorrow, up another percent, well, that means that your percentage is growing. That's a big deal. So I pay attention to those things. We don't have a ton of losers on the other side. OKB came up, but that's a coin for an exchange. And I told you I want to stay away from, exchange coins. So that's not something I'm interested in. What I do want you to pay attention to is this right here. Market Watch will actually tell you what's coming up. So this Thursday, we've got jobs numbers coming up. So if you want, go to Market Watch. No, they don't pay me or anything else like that. I just think it's a really cool list of, important dates that are coming. And they let you know what's important. You have jobs data, other data, CPI data, all that kind of stuff. And they let you know when that's going to pop up. So Thursday's the day this week. That would be tomorrow. The Fear and Greed Index is at 29. Remember, yesterday was at 26. So that says that, people are feeling a little less fearful about what's going on in the market. And I would kind of believe that. However, when you look at Salesforce.com, well, now they're just Salesforce, shedding jobs, other companies shedding jobs, just like Goldman Sachs. You have banks that have said they're going to be shedding jobs in Q1 this year. So those are things that I really try to pay attention to as we move forward, because some of those moves are going to affect the crypto space. So I'm paying attention to who's doing what and where and how it might affect my investments or my interests. I suggest you might want to do the same. Not really interested in DeFi Llama right now. But look at this. Again, you see this? Look at this line. Look at my crosshairs going straight across. That's practically, just even right here, when you look at the green line that says it's the last trade was up. That's great. Decent volume. That's great. That's awesome. But look at this. Do you see this? Sideways, lateral movement. So this is Bitcoin doing lateral movement at about 16.8. I'm paying attention to this because I need it to get above 17.6. The previous low is now the high that I'm aiming for, right? That's what I'm doing with this one. That's what I'm paying attention to. Now, the information I gave you yesterday about Grayscale and Gemini and Genesis, hopefully that all pans out and everything goes well, but that could have an impact on Ethereum and Bitcoin. So we see how that goes forward. Again, my play for Ethereum is actually not Ethereum. Yes, I hold some Ethereum and I will be buying more, but my big play on Ethereum is actually Polygon, right? That's really where my head is at in that particular space. looking at the big picture, literally looking at a big picture here, you see Bitcoin is, Bitcoin is green, Ethereum is green. Everybody's a little bit green, but they're not green in really huge numbers, except for Cardano and a few other projects that I'm not touching at the moment. Doesn't mean that they're bad projects, just means that I'm not touching them right now because I have a certain focus on certain projects right now. And I'm also paying attention to sleeper projects. Somebody asked me about Stellar. Don't sleep on Stellar is what I told him, because Stellar is a great project and they have things going on. I'm paying attention to Polygon, as you know, Ethereum, Bitcoin. Those are just great investments in my, for what my portfolio looks like. HBAR is a chance coin for me. VeChain, I think, is a look way down the road, but I think VeChain is going to be a very big deal as we move forward in the future. Chainlink is another one of those projects that I believe is connective tissue that I really buy into. So those are things that I'm looking at right now, and anything that would affect, even from a soft touch on any one of the projects that I'm paying attention to, I'm going to pay attention to that, because sometimes a soft touch can still knock over a domino. See what I'm saying? Anyway, this is Eddie J on crypto. I hope I'm providing you with good research. Just have a great day. Have a good one. Bye bye.